Welcome back. Labor mulling over the first couple of major moves of its government as the coalition. I was wondering whether they should be a coalition. Again, joining me now, Assistant Minister to the Prime Minister, Patrick Gorman, and former Liberal MP for Mackellar, Jason Falinski. Thanks both for your time. Jason, we're hearing the coalition agreement is being fleshed out. Do you have a concern this could be dominated by the Nationals? What do you think should be the no-go areas for Susan Lee, who sort of outlined a bit of what she thinks her party should be looking at in the future?
Yeah, look, Tom, I am genuinely worried that the National Party has been too dominant in the coalition for a very, very long time, and you have the results to show for it. And maybe it is time actually for us to say in opposition that we should pursue our own policy priorities and allow the National Party to go off and pursue their own and see how they go.
So how does that work? You do your own and go to the election that way? How do you end up still being a coalition if that's the case?
Well, I think in that situation we would campaign as the Liberal Party at the next election, and the National Party can campaign as the National Party. And if after the election it is seen that we as a coalition can govern, then we would need to come together at that point with a coalition agreement. It's not unprecedented, okay. Tom. It actually was the norm in Victoria and New South Wales for a very long time.
All right. Well, interesting idea to put out there. We'll see what happens with the agreement. Patrick, interested in your thoughts, because net zero has been one of the talking points on the coalition side. Do you see the election we've just had in terms of the vote for Labor and how you interpret that as people wanting an ambitious 2035 target?
Well, firstly, on this big question of the future of the Liberal Party and the National Party and their relationship amongst themselves, obviously it's been unhappy for a long time. We're seeing some of that boil to the surface now. They had a climate policy that they took to the last election, which was to try and paper over all of those cracks, when the reality is that the product that Jason's just suggested, which is you have the Liberal Party and the National Party out there with completely different policy ideas, contesting the election as separate entities, and then if they were fortunate enough to form government, they would then decide who wins which policy debate, is a recipe for an absolute disaster for the country. Now, I think the Australian people deserve better than that. And I think when it comes to these big questions like climate change, you need to have, particularly with the major political parties, they need to be able to say what it is they stand for. And this now, we've seen it for some, coming on 16 years of climate wars in the Liberal and National Party. There are not enough people strong enough in the Liberal Party to stand up for climate action, and the National Party simply don't want to do anything.
I know that you're very concerned about the coalition, but we'll park that for a moment. Pat, what about mandates? I mean, what do you think people really vote for? Because taxing, this super tax break, on the one hand, the government says it's, affects the top 0.5% of people, but it's not indexed, so that just goes up in time who it affects. All the other elements of superannuation are indexed, all the other caps. Why not this one?
Well, we did take this to the election, Tom. Actually, it was put into the Parliament last year. I sat in the House of Representatives and voted for it. And I had that as one of the many things I could say to my community as to where I stood really clearly. And we do think that this is the right way forward. We haven't put forward indexation. It's a very simple bill. It's very easy to understand. And it really does affect a very small proportion of those who have superannuation accounts. It's really only for those with very large superannuation balances, some $3 million or more, people who, you can have a very good retirement for far less than that $3 million figure. It's only 1 in every 200 superannuation accounts. I mean, I think that tells you something.
As I said,
about
that goes up.
How targeted this is.
Yeah, but there's no indexation. Anyway, Jason, what do you think of this? Is this going to be a bit harder to mobilise for your good mate Tim Wilson, who, his raison d'etre was franking credits for a while? Is this going to have to be a bit of a slower burn?
Well, Tom, you and Pat are right. The Labor Party took this to the election. It had the support of the Greens. It had the support of the Teals. The fact of the matter is that I think in the Senate, the Liberal Party should abstain from it. And if you want to change this policy, then you have to vote for it. What Pat just said then is absolutely wrong. This is a major breach of tax principles, both here and around the world. And the whole idea that just because you earned money and the Labor Party, the Teals and the Greens decide that you don't deserve it, that they're going to tax you for it, is just appalling. But that's what the people voted for, so that's what the people should get.
Okay, so what? Are you talking about a more general approach as well, Jason? Let Labor loose, almost. Let them have control. And what, show the voters that this is what happens when Labor...
Well, the fact of the matter is, Tom, they do have control. They are literally in the House of Representatives. They will be unconstrained by anyone. And in the Senate, they will only be constrained by the Greens, who will insist that they go further left. So, you know, this is what everyone in Australia voted for. So that's... And when it comes to the unrealised capital gains tax... maybe we didn't do enough of a good job explaining to people why it is so detrimental to this country. But the fact is that that's what the Australian people voted for. And I think that if mandates are to mean anything, they have to mean something here. And hopefully when we're in government, the Labor Party, which they never will actually respect that and respect our mandates. But I doubt that would happen.
So abstain, in any case. And by doing that, abstaining obviously allows things to go through, be it Senate or lowered house. That's what you're saying. Abstain is not supporting it, but is respecting the mandate. Correct. And furthermore, to be honest with you, the Labor Party will probably have to do a deal with the Greens to get this through the Senate. And the Greens' policy is to lower the lower limit to $2 million. And look, Tom, we're just getting caught up on the politics and the mechanics of this. But this matters.
So
I mean, if you're saying
abstaining might be the least worst option.
Okay. Well, it's the politics. This stuff matters.
But having said that, Tom, we're getting caught up on the mechanics of this.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is that the underlying attitude of members of the Labor Party, members of the Greens, is just because you worked hard, just because you earned that money, they don't believe you should have it. They believe someone else should have it, and they're going to use the power of government to compel you to give it to someone else. And, you know, the chilling effect that will have on the investment community, the chilling effect that will have on the rest of the tax system, this is like taxing your income before you've earned it and before you may even earn it. And there are so many unanswered technical questions here around if your asset goes up in year one, you have to pay tax.
Obviously, Patrick, is Labor's way of balancing the budget going to be more elements of wealthier groups, whether it be individuals, businesses, to pay more? Or is that a fair way to do it, would Labor argue?
Oh, well, the measures that we put into the budget, which is really just coming on 2 months old, the measures we put into the budget that we delivered outlined our revenue and our expenditure measures. They're all there to see, including the measure that we've just been talking about. And when it comes to what Jason's just said, which is the sort of abstention policy that he advocates for in the Liberal Party, what we're seeing now from the Liberal Party is a party that says, you know, we don't know what we stand for, and we're now going to just sit on the sidelines doing absolutely nothing. Now, I think that is just the most wild position. We've got shadow ministers out there saying they're asking AI and ChatGPT to tell them why they lost the election. We've got Jason Falinski, very influential member of the Liberal Party in New South Wales, saying sit on the sidelines and do nothing. The leader of the Liberal Party is out there writing an opinion piece saying that the pre-season's about to start, and I would have thought that the pre-season started a while back and they should be, you know, kind of thinking about the actual match. But it's a wild thing that's happening in the Liberal Party where they are so lost that they don't know what they stand for.
I think, to be fair, Susan
Tom,
Lee
in
said
response
they lost
to
the
that,
grand
I
final
guess
and
what
they're
I would say
rebuilding. It's the
very
next
clearly
pre-season.
is
very
that
quickly, Jason, don't get me in trouble. 20 seconds.
Yeah, so what I'm advocating for is that the Liberal Party respect the mandate that the people gave the Labor Party, even if they didn't understand what they were doing. And of course, Pat is now opposed to that because he knows what that does is it creates the principle that the Labor Party would have to respect mandates when the Liberal Party is given to it.
You're not advocating
we are very well aware that we stand for fairness in the tax system, something that the Labor Party never has, because they will always stand for class envy and to taking from those who have earned money to give to their